Alright, today we're going to look at how to connect lead sources to ProLine using either Zapier or ProLine's web leads integration. And so the main use case here, really the big thing we're looking at is how do I connect a form on a website most likely. You can use both Zapier and our web leads integration for other types of lead sources as well, but typically the situation is you have a form on your website and you want that form on your website to create leads in ProLine when it gets submitted. And so we're going to explore this right now and kind of go through this process. So what I have here is I've set up on useproline.com just a test page. It's a contact us page. And I have two different types of forms. So these are the two most common types of forms that we run into. And this is a Elementor form and then also a contact form 7 form. So these are the two most common ones that a lot of people have on their sites. The thing is, each one of these forms takes a slightly different approach. The contact form 7 form, you're going to be able to use the web leads integration, whereas the Elementor form, you are going to need to use Zapier. And so we're going to explore both of those right now. So let's start actually with the contact form 7. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your integrations area inside of ProLine. You're going to go to web leads, and then you're going to build out a web leads webhook here. Now these are not settings for the integration. This is actually setting what you want to be associated with this webhook that we're going to set up. So if we want to assign a team member, we can. I'm just going to leave that as default. The most common thing here you're going to want to do is put a speed lead campaign associated with this webhook. And so you can see as I'm selecting this, it is actually expanding the webhook here, this URL, to include the information for that campaign. And if I wanted to go to a specific stage inside of ProLine, I can do that. And then also if I wanted to select a specific tag for everything that comes through this source, so in this case I'm going to have it select the website tag. And so it's added all that to our webhook. Now I'm going to copy this to clipboard. I'm going to make sure that this is enabled because it's easy to forget to enable it after you click on this. So I'm just going to go ahead and enable it. Now I have the webhook on my clipboard. So now I'm going to go over into my website. And we're going to look at contact form 7 first. Now the first step you're going to want to do once you get into your website is you're going to go and you're going to add the CF7 to webhook plugin. It's a free plugin. It's very simple. It gets the job done. You can search for it here, CF7 webhook. And it's going to be the first result here. And as you can see, 20,000 plus people using it. It's great. So you just select that, activate that. Then you're going to go back to your contact tab over here for contact form 7. Go into your form, and then you're going to have this webhook tag on, tab here to click on. Make sure that you have send to webhook enabled, and then we're going to paste in our webhook that we created inside of ProLine. Then make sure also if you want contact form 7 to send an email to you as well. A lot of times, if you already have contact form 7 on your site, it's probably set up to send leads as emails to your email inbox. And so if you want that to continue, make sure to select send contact form 7 mail as. Usually, I don't know, it's misspelled, it's silly, but that is the setting to make sure that the email still gets sent. So make sure to select those, hit save, and so now your webhook is in here. But we're not done because we need to make sure that information that's coming from this contact form 7 form matches up with what ProLine is expecting to receive. And so you can see here, webhook payload parameters. If I click here, it's going to open our support article about this. And if we go down, we can see the parameters that are required for information coming from the form. And so if we go into our contact form 7 form here, go to form, the parameters that are used when sending this webhook are these IDs that are in the form here. It's this right here. So the parameter that's going to be used is for this field in the form is your name. But if we look on our matrix here, what we need is full name, not your name. So we're going to copy full name, and we're going to come back into here. We're going to put full name in, and then we'll look here and see that we need email, phone. We have a lot of other things that we can add, but we don't need them. Subject, message. For this form, we're just going to change this now to email, change this now to phone, subject, message, and we don't, anything like this, so we have our verification in here, or authorization for texting and calling, which is important for the Carrier Trust product registration. But this does, we don't need this to come in into ProLine as part of the Speak lead. We don't need that information in ProLine. So it's going to automatically be opted in. And so you don't have to change anything there. So you can have more fields here that don't get sent to ProLine, but anything that gets sent to ProLine, you need to make sure the IDs match up with the parameters. Then you're going to hit save. Now, we can see here that as soon as we hit save, we get this little warning under mail. So this is the final step here, is we need to now go into our email template, and we need to make sure that the IDs being used in the email template match up with the new IDs that we put into the form. So we're going to change this to email now. This is going to be full name, email, phone, message, subject, full name here. All right, so that looks pretty good. We'll review up here. Yep, we have this one we need to change. Everything else there is good. So we're going to save this, and we don't have any more warnings there, so we're good there. And so now everything is good to go. We're going to save this entire form, and then we'll make sure that this is on inside of ProLine. And then go to this page. We'll reload this page. And then we're going to put in some information here. Select that, submit it. For your message. Now we're going to go back into our ProLine, and we can see that a new project has been created here. It's got the information that was from the form, and then we can go ahead and further customize this. We can schedule events for it. We can proceed. We can call directly to the contact from that submission, and we're good to go. We can also see that it has been added to this website leads campaign. I'm going to pause this because I want to text onto that random phone number. There you go. And yeah, so there we go. So that is connecting it to Contact Form 7. If you're using something like Gravity Forms or Ninja Forms, they all have webhook features, and that's even easier because you don't have to do all this mess with this kind of quasi-code stuff going on here. They make it even easier for you. The key is that you just have to customize those parameters to make sure that the data being sent is correctly performed. Just look at the Web Leads Integration Guide for those details. We have parameter, the expected data that's coming through, a description, and whether or not it's required. The only two that are really, the only data that's really required that we have to have is a name. As long as there's a name, ProLine will create the lead, but ideally, of course, you're getting more information. Decide it's getting a phone and/or that name. You can alternately send something to first name and last name separately, like separate the first and last name, or you can use the full name, and ProLine is just going to automatically split it into a first and last name. All right, so let's look at the other situation that we have here. We have Contact Form 7, we got that working, but what about this Elementor form? So we can go in here, we have our form, we go to Actions After Submit, and we click here and we can say webhook. And it would make sense, it seems, and this was something I originally feeling we wanted to be able to do is just be able to use that same web leads integration. You just paste the webhook in here, good to go, right? That's the goal. Unfortunately, the way that Elementor sends the data, there's no way to control the parameters. Because of that, the parameters can be virtually anything. Basically, whatever you want to label them is what the parameters end up being. And so because of that, you do have to use Zapier. And there's lots of other lead sources as well that you might need to use Zapier for to connect to ProLine. So this is just a good thing, a good example here for us to use of something that does require Zapier. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go into our Zapier account. You do have to have a professional plan in Zapier for this to work because we're going to need to use the webhook trigger. Webhooks by Zapier. We're going to catch a hook. We can ignore that, and then it's going to go to this page. We're listening. Copy the webhook, and then you're going to go back into. We're going to go in here and we're going to paste this into the webhook area. We don't want advanced data. We just want normal data. We're going to save that. We don't really need to do anything else. You can customize the IDs here if you want, but it's really not necessary. There. So, and this one you'll see. I just gave some examples. This is something that everybody has to do now is add these disclaimers to the forms. The contact form 7 had the checkbox. I think that might have gotten removed. Saved it, but has a checkbox, and then has the text underneath. Either way works. It's just required for using the phone numbers now. Phone required. So, but getting back to the subject at hand, we just added that webhook, so this is now good to go. We're going to reload this page. Make sure this has got the latest version. Now what we can do is we're going to fill out this form, just like we did before. Submission was successful. And if we go over to Zapier and we test the trigger, we now have this data in here. And it is ready for us to use. So use selected record. Then we're going to go to ProLine. Because on the developer, I have all of these other ProLine versions that are going to pop up. You're just going to see and then we're going to do an event. We want to create or update our project. That is the only step, unless you're doing, but in most cases, this is the only Zapier step you're going to need, is just this create or update project in ProLine. You can, if you want to, try to search for an existing project, you could add a search step, but I generally wouldn't recommend it. I would just assume that anyone's filling out a form on the website should have been a new project, because you can always look at the project. But if you're always going to create a new project, then all you got to do is have this one step. We're going to connect an account here. I have a bunch of stuff connected here, but I don't think we have our demo accounts connected. So I'm going to connect our demo account into Zapier. What I'm going to do is going to go to the integrations page. You can actually, it's a little shortcut here. I think maybe, I'm not sure whether or not this is visible right now. I'm sharing, I think I'm just sharing the one window, but there's a little pop-up that comes up. If it's not visible, to describe it. It just says allow Zapier to access your ProLine account, and then it has an API key field. It also has a link that you can follow to open our API page on our integrations page. I already had it open here, but just to show you. I'm going to click the API key, and then I'm going to go back into Zapier. I'm going to go to that pop-up, and I'm going to paste it in, the API key in. And then this is going to work for a second, and then it's going to connect this new account. So we have our demo account now connected here. And now continue. So there's not a lot of information that we need to fill out here. We don't have an address. We do probably want to fill out stage. We want it to make sure it goes into that new leads area. If you had maybe a services field in the form, you could potentially pull that in here for services. Same thing for tag. You can put it in. These fields will accept two forms of inputs. They'll accept. You can choose the so you can click here and just choose it, or you can do custom, and it will actually accept just the name. If the name matches, it will also assign the correct services or tag. So if you had like a services drop down form, you can pull that in here using the custom area. Pull that result from the form, and then you could assign services and or tags here. We have custom. We don't need to fill any of this out. What we might want to do is put the message here. So we could do like subject message. I can't remember if that has subject. Message test. And so this is just going to add this message to the notes area for us. And then we get contact first name, contact last name, or contact full name. This is also full name in this scenario, so we're going to pull in the full name. It's going to automatically split it for us. It's also going to use this to name the project unless we put in something else here. It's just going to use this name to name the project as well as name the contact. And then we have phone, email, and then we want to select the campaign that we want to have their contact is going to get created. So we're going to do the website leads again. And we're going to, that's good to go. If there's anything else here, if we had more information in the form, we could fill out more. I will go ahead, I think, and just like we did with the other source, we'll just select the website tag here. We're going to do test step. And so now you can see new project successfully created. We're going to go into ProLine. We're going to see a second project here with the same name. This is the one that Zapier just created. We're going to see that it is, it did actually create a separate, oh yeah, the phone number was a little bit different. I thought the phone number would be the same. Yeah, it's 1 digit different. So it did create a separate contact and project. If the phone number had matched perfectly, it actually would have created a second project for the same contact. So we would have the same contact in both projects. But since the phone numbers were different, it didn't connect it, which is fine. It is intended. And so yeah, that's good to go. So that is how to connect the two most common forms that we see on people's websites to ProLine. Now this is just scratching the surface here of what can be done with Zapier and what can be done with that web leads integration. Like I was saying, you can use that web leads integration for any lead source that allows you to customize some kind of webhook or payload being sent after it's submitted. So like Gravity Forms, Ninja Forms, there's some other ones as well. I'm trying to remember. Unbounce, you can do that. And so you can use this web leads integration and just skip Zapier entirely. If you are using Elementor Forms, you'll need to go through Zapier as a middle step, and you will need to be, I believe, on the Pro plan. If I remember correctly, you do have to be on the Pro plan to use their webhooks by Zapier. So whatever allows you to do that is what you'll need to be on this route. But then Zapier as well. I mean, our Zapier connections are extraordinarily broad. We have just a ton of different triggers and actions that can be done inside of ProLine. So we really set this up in Zapier, our integration with Zapier virtually any other software on the planet using Zapier. You just have to go in here and put the time and create that logic for what you're looking to accomplish. So hopefully that helps kind of cover the basics here on how to connect these speed to lead connections. And don't hesitate to contact our support through the chat inside of ProLine or support@proline.app